Hi, and welcome to the LawFi DAO Day session for the 30th of September. I join you from Paris after having just attended the OECD Global Blockchain Policy Forum. And for that reason, I'm in a hotel with terrible Wi Fi. And due to technical difficulties, the session earlier wasn't recorded. So I will do my best for a brief summary. Also, doing my best to acknowledge the people that raised some really key and great comments. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners from the lands that I join, as well as the lands from which all of the members joined earlier today, and respect the elders past, present, and emerging. Our LawFi DAO beliefs and values, as we say each week, is respect, reciprocity, integrity, and kindness while doing things differently and appreciating that time is our most precious resource. In terms of an update over the last week, we do need more active feedback on the draft and proposed white paper, so more communications will be going out to encourage that. For the time being, feedback that you're comfortable to be public can be made through the LawFi DAO Discord applicable channel, which is the establishment channel, and more private or sensitive feedback can be provided to jp@lawfidao.com to the extent appropriate, where we address those items, we will also make comments in the Discord. As we've mentioned in the last 2 weeks, we've closed member applications pending some Australian regulatory processes and early engagement to go through. One of the key ones that has been kicked off is with the Australian Securities and Investment Commission. A basic call has been put in, followed up by a more detailed email requesting the items for support and assistance and clarification by further provision of information and in-person meetings. So for any members that would like to partake in that process or to observe it, please again get in touch via email. One of the requests goes outside the substantive review of the LawFi DAO activities and the establishment structures. And it asks what would be the appropriate basis upon which ASIC could be a member and appoint representatives to be involved in LawFi DAO activities, or at least to observe them, and for that to be part of some allocation of resources to educate internal resources of ASIC about DAOs and some of the legal and tax issues surrounding them. So that process will continue and updates will be provided to the community as appropriate. Members will be more informed, likely by email on a more regular basis. Feedback from the community is that we should slow down. We feel that we are going slow, but we need to go slower, with a key purpose of the DAO being to educate the public and policymakers and regulators. The establishment work stream in and of itself is a huge exercise that is worthy of its own attention, before we really do get into operationalizing and coordinating a community around the substantive activities of LawFi DAO. We very much need to bed down the structure and the alternative structures and the regulatory acceptance of the DAOs as a structure, but before we can safely move on. There is a waiting list of sorts and community building going on. So I have been talking about LawFi DAO at the OECD Blockchain Policy Forum, as well as with global contacts generally as we get to the topic of DAOs. So there is a lot of interest in what we are doing, a lot of expressions of desire to support where possible and connect in with existing sort of European Union-based communities, American-based communities, and Asian and other countries. So the wait list is certainly being worked on or growing, despite that we have officially closed memberships. The feedback from the community was fantastic because we got into a discussion today, which will continue in the establishment subcommittee call, about whether a DAO could have a head office with separate entities, because the mixing of profit and not-for-profit doesn't mix well with existing legal provisions. This was a contribution by Miles. And my response was that, at least in the tax law, we have a sense of deemed tax entities, where an unincorporated association of persons, in its broadest sense, could still be a tax law company, and revenue distribution schemes where you do something extra, or there's an extra contractual bargain. So governance token holders can stake their tokens to receive some sort of revenue or other token returns. That may be a separate non-entity joint venture. But in the tax law, as well as in the corporate law, there is an expectation of to look at a scheme broadly. And in that sense, separate schemes could be grouped together. And that's part of the things that we're trying to clarify with LawFi DAO as well. It could be worthy of statutory reform. Andrew made some great comments about needing a broader mindset, that people are not looking broadly enough about what a DAO could be, and we are constraining ourselves to our conceptions of existing entities and what they can do. We need to understand what a digital organisation is, what does it look like today, and what could look like in 10 years. Consumer protection may end up falling into member protections, so we may get a blend of shareholder rights as well as consumer protections in maybe a new set of more nuanced protections for governance token holders. Miles then raised a very poignant point that, what is a DAO, and if it is a community and it's striving for democracy and its own governance, is it a sovereign community? Is that actually what we're dealing with? And we go above and beyond traditional corporate structures. And a sovereign community in its own right replicates the nation state goals of peace, order, and good health of community. And a state can do whatever it wants. So, Miles asked for the perspectives on this and whether anything has come up around it. The response from me is that yes, the Montevideo Convention is a convention signed by a number of countries, not Australia, but confirms the declaratory state of recognition, whereas a state can be declared by its community, and it doesn't require recognition by other nation states. One of the criterion is territory, though, and it draws into question whether metaverse territory could satisfy that requirement, and we may have metaverse states be created to formalise some sort of nation-state concept around a DAO. Of course, that's highly political, but it is relevant for the submission being made to Australian Treasury's exposure draft legislation to treat Bitcoin as not a foreign currency. That submission will be shared and for discussion in next week's taxation of token activity session, and for potential ratification of the DAO members as a submission of support. Arturo mentioned that he's involved in a DAO. It's not really a DAO, it's incorporated in Singapore. A lot of the DAOs have a legal wrapper, so they're not truly native, and there's not a lot of knowledge around when a DAO has a legal wrapper or not. It's not part of the common exercise of disclosures unless the community requests further information about the structure. So we were just talking about to what extent decentralization is actually understood. It's a notion right now, not an actual definition. So it's quite romanticized in the goals to be decentralized or sufficiently or fully decentralized. We then spoke a lot around insurance, what makes a DAO insurable against some of these risks. Rick made some fantastic comments following the back of his trip to Bermuda and speaking with also highly regarded lawyers such as Stephen Rhys-Davies. This will be put on the agenda for next week's call, community call, to think through some of the insurance issues. The pay to rely work is progressing well, and The law profession bodies, a key of them have been contacted. Further information has been provided for them to raise a discussion about LawFi DAO and the pay to rely model at some national council meeting occurring in October. And I think that until we get some more confirmed regulatory guidance, the rest of the sessions will be cancelled starting from next week, where we'll only have the DAO community call, the establishment committee meeting, and the policy group sessions going, the taxation of token activities and the UK Law Commission effort. So we're buckling down, we're narrowing in, we're focusing, and we hope that in going more slowly, our efforts do start to bring some clarity on legal and tax implications of establishment structures and operating structures for DAOs, at least from Australia, and to set that sort of stepping stone process as we can reach out to other jurisdictions to repeat the same. So thank you for your time and look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.